tonight it's necessary.
After that pep talk, who couldn't be ready for basketball? Oklahoma State and Baylor. And Baylor's first look at Cade Cunningham. He was out for the first meeting back in January due to COVID protocols. And this Baylor team, as you watch tonight, watch their three-point shooting. They're the best in the country at over 42%, Jay. And off the initial miss from Davion Mitchell, it will be Baylor basketball. Jay, this is me setting you up.
Well, when they do miss a three, which is not very often because they shoot 42%, it's an excellent offensive rebounding team. They force a ton of turnovers. Baylor gets extra possessions. Great screen for the screener.
Jared Butler for three on the baseline, out of bounds for Baylor.
Jared Butler set the initial screen, then he got a screen. So when you hear the talking heads like us say screen for the screener, that's what it means.
Watch it here.
So Jared Butler, number 12, an outstanding scorer, is going to set a little back screen, and then he gets a screen from Flo Thamba, and he's wide open in the corner. Excellent execution on out-of-bounds underneath.
Oh, that's a great cut to the basket. Avery Anderson, the sophomore from the state of Texas, the opening two for Oklahoma State.
Tough angle from which to inbound the ball and equally tough to defend it. And Avery Anderson is unbelievably fast and quick.
You mentioned Thamba. He's been very active. Couple of screens here to set up this opportunity for Butler, who got wrangled down to the deck. And here comes Oklahoma State in transition. And that throw behind was ill-advised by the freshman Rondell Walker.
Yeah, Walker's just got to take that. You're trying to throw behind you against this defense that is sprinting down the court behind the play, and you're going to turn it over every time.
Butler again splashes down his second three.
Butler struggled against Kansas in the second game back from Butler's long pause. But since then, he's been outstanding at 25 points, 5 of 11 from 3 against West Virginia, and he started off well in this one.
Jay, they didn't look the same. You had the game. It was 21 days without a game. Scott Drew called a bunch of different coaches trying to figure out what to do after a COVID pause. As there's a three for Bryce Williams, who's been really good from three the last couple of games for Oklahoma State.
Yeah, the game that you're referring to, Jason, against Kansas and Allen Fieldhouse, Kansas played great, and you give appropriate credit to the fine performance that the Jayhawks put on both ends of the floor, especially David McCormick. But this just wasn't the Baylor team playing in Allen Fieldhouse we've become accustomed to. But they're starting to be back. I think they made great strides in their last game, and we'll see if they get back to what we consider normal, which was very difficult to play against, let alone try to beat. Good pass.
There's a passing ability from Cade Cunningham to Caleb Boone.
They're running offense in the middle third of the floor, where it's more difficult for Baylor to switch and more difficult to help. And Caleb Boone has been on a tear and he can finish equally well with his right or his left. What a cut.
Davion Mitchell for two. So explain to us, Jay, on this possession, why being in the middle of the floor is so important against Baylor.
When you're on one side of the floor, they can keep you there. Baylor's very good at keeping to that side and also very good at positioning their help. When you're in the middle of the floor, it's much more difficult to establish a help side. And so you're more hugged up to your man. It's easier to get cuts. It's easier to get drives because help is more difficult to position when the ball's in the middle of the floor as opposed to a side when you've established a weak side or a strong side.
Great answer, Jay.
I did a filibuster there. That way people got bored and didn't really listen to it, so they couldn't evaluate it.
Maceo Teague, the jump shots are falling early for Baylor with 10 in the first three and change.
And to your point, Jason, another really good screen by Flo Thamba. It came at the elbow, going in a direction that's not easy to guard. The action was going away from the basket, and that opened up Maceo Teague for an easy mid-range jumper.
A turnover on a carry for Baylor. Scott Drew, his 18th season, first title for Baylor since 1950 in the Southwest Conference. The year they lost in the Final Four to Bradley, a game that Jay was 12 for.
Bill Raftery did that game.
I like that you pass it along, by the way. Like, you send it to somebody older. Very nice of you.
Yeah, Scott Drew, the only people that have done more for Waco, Texas than Scott Drew is Chip and Joanna Gaines.
You just said that because your cutout normally sits next to them.
And they make great, and that's what perhaps most important about his maturity, and most impressive, I should say, about his maturity.
You watch him go to the basket, it's very controlled typically. He plays a lot older than he is, Cade Cunningham.
Well, he's a clutch performer. He's got that clutch gene, and his passing ability is really impressive. He can handle it, not afraid to shoot it, and he can take a challenge shot and make it. But the fact that he doesn't have to score to validate that it's been a good play for him is really another impressive aspect of his development. He's a really good player, and he's only going to get better. Little zone look right now for Oklahoma State. They'll mix and match and move their defenses around. They have some length as well.
How much can you zone Baylor, though, with their shooting ability?
Well, if you match up out of it, you can, and it doesn't look like zone all the time, so it gives you a different feel. The problem is rebounding out of it.
Yeah, Baylor's a great offensive rebounding team. Maceo T gets 2. Oklahoma State struggles on the defensive glass sometimes, and it played right there. So how do you anticipate Baylor's going to defend Cade Cunningham tonight?
Well, they're going to switch off on him. They've already switched some things, and another charge. I think that might be the 11th or 12th charge that Jonathan Tchamwa-Tchatchoua has taken this year. He's such an active player, coming over, getting outside that charge circle and outside the lane, and got great position. Just that's alert. As soon as the ball went on the deck, he's moving to get into position. The help side defense of Baylor is so impressive. They're very alert to the ball, not just their man.
High energy bigs they have. Thamba and then Tchamwa-Tchatchoua there taking the charge as Butler picks his way to the rim, and they play volleyball for the offensive rebound. Third chance for Baylor. Mitchell gave up the 3 to reset it halfway through the shot clock.
Williams could have taken that the other way.
Off the tip, collected by Mitchell. High ball screen, late shot clock. They're not going to get it off. Hey, Mike Boynton has done a marvelous job with this team in his 4th season at Oklahoma State. They have 8 quad 1 wins, an extraordinarily tough schedule, and right now for Joe Lunardi, a 4 seed in the NCAA tournament.
Really remarkable, the job that Mike Boynton has done at Oklahoma State. And he played at South Carolina. Eddie Fogler, I believe, recruited him to South Carolina, wound up playing for Dave Odom. Great pass. That screen roll in the middle of the floor is really causing Baylor a lot of trouble. And the fact that it is in the middle of the floor, for some of the reasons we talked about before, I think has been really effective for Oklahoma State.
Yeah, you said it earlier. A number of these baskets have come in the middle of the floor. That was M.A. Moncrief, the freshman, for a very young Oklahoma State team. Easy to the basket for 2 from Mark Vidal, the senior for Baylor.
Mark Vidal is like a big running back out there, a 6'5" running back, a fullback. Leads the team in offensive rebounds and blocks. He gets steals. What a great play by Anderson.
His sense for getting to the basket is outstanding. He's got 4 early, Avery Anderson, and a whistle going the other way against Baylor.
Anderson is so good at changing ends, but this is another level of speed. To get by Davion Mitchell like that with 1 or 2 dribbles and getting to the other side of the bucket so that Tchamwa-Tchatchoua can't block that shot. You know, Anderson's just a sophomore. His last 3 games, he's shooting 50% from the field and averaging about 14 points per game. You add that kind of productivity to having Cade Cunningham, another easy screen roll. All help is eliminated. Baylor's defense has been raised, and it has been really efficient for Oklahoma State and impressive. Better pressure on the ball. And I heard a great term earlier this year from Tony Bennett of Virginia about pressuring the ball so that you can't allow vision. He basically said, don't allow your opponent to window shop, to just stand there and pick you apart. And there's a great play back screen lob out of the timeout. Really well executed. We're watching an execution clinic on the offensive end for both sides.
A couple of beautifully drawn up plays too as Chachua finished that off. Oh, back cut and left short on the welcome mat by Walker.
What a pass by Cade Cunningham.
Yeah, he scores well. Yes, he can get to the basket. But, man, his vision, his understanding of what the smart pass is, Jay, it's exceptional.
He's got a ton of ability. And we just saw when the ball went out of bounds. I think it was Williams just took one in the chops from the official when he was signaling it. But a great back screen by Flagler. Gets Chachua open at the rim. He's a lob threat. And now a little box set out of bounds underneath. Earlier we saw a screen for the screener action. Let's see if they run the same thing.
We get a low bridge situation on the point for whose ball it was. Baylor's got 5 offensive rebounds early in this game. That's going to be a story all day long. Little sidestep from Flagler to set up Baylor and a 3-point lead.
And they say the mid-range game is dead. Flagler shoots 42% from 3, but that shot fake opened up an easy mid-range jumper, and he swished it.
A slide by, no good for Bryce Williams. Baylor's so deliberate, but always trying to get to the goal, look for the drive and kick.
Well, when you've got Chachua rolling that hard to the basket, it really opens up the lane for MaCio Teague. He could take his time.
Meyer the miss. He got his own rebound off a big game for him on Tuesday and 18 points. Boy, some fun at the rim, Jay Billis.
Jonathan, by the time you say Jonathan Chachua, he's either blocked a shot, grabbed an offensive rebound, or dunked one in on a lob. Or all three. Luka Garza, but it's a tough call because Corey Kispert has had such a great year. I would certainly put Jared Butler of Baylor in that category as well, but Garza's been spectacular.
What about Big 12 Player of the Year?
That's another tough one. Don't you tend to go with the best player on the best team? I mean, I think I would go with Jared Butler. He's been so good leading the league in steals. He's in the top 5 in seemingly every offensive category.
I think that's easy sometimes to go best player on best team. I think player who's most important to his team, they wouldn't be where they are without him.
Yeah, well, Caleb Boone of Oklahoma State, his coach made that claim today that he's the most important player, that Cade Cunningham's their best player, that Isaac Likely, who's out in this one, at least thus far, is their best leader, but their most important player is Caleb Boone. But I wouldn't rank him as the player of the year.
I just like when you go into argumentation mode. I feel like I'm back in law school, and I like the riff.
I was born in that mode.
Is that right? You were asking to approach the bench at age 5.
Yes.
Cunningham to drop off, and the whistle's going the other way. Yet another charge for Baylor early in the game. This is Butler.
Awfully close and a very good cut. But Jared Butler comes over from the weak side, and I don't think that's a charge at all. I think that's a bad call. I didn't have the best angle to see it at first, but that was a bad call.
What didn't you like?
Well, because he wasn't there. The offensive player had already established a plant foot and gone up. And Butler was sliding over. And those aren't the charges. Like, if those are a 50-50 call, which a lot of officials will say, if it's 50-50, it's a block every time. The charges that we should value I got a timeout. The charges we should value are primary defense from the weak side. If you're a secondary defender coming over to stop a cutter or a driver who has won the path to that basket, then it's got to be beyond any doubt. In my judgment, it has to be beyond any doubt. And that wasn't, and it was a bad call.
So you're going to raise the standard as we get a travel there against Baylor and Chachua.
Well, the officials will say that's a 50-50 call. It's a bang-bang call, 50-50 call. So everything's a 50-50 call. You either call it or you don't. It's all a 50-50 call. Guy steps out of bounds, 50-50 call. I either call it or I don't.
I would say that's a 100-0 call, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it should be. But if you're saying, well, I wasn't sure, if it could have gone either way, it's a block, period.
Cunningham on the step back. Boone the offensive rebound. He is extraordinarily energetic. Caleb Boone is, as he sets up a second chance for Oklahoma State that Cunningham threw away.
Yeah, to your point about Caleb Boone, he's a player that you, because of his activity, almost like Jonathan Tchamwa-Tchatchoua, you can't take your eyes off him when he's on the floor. And he plays extended minutes and keeps up that pace. Great pass and great catch.
Matthew Meyer has been great recently for Baylor. He had 18 in 27 minutes on Tuesday against West Virginia. Now 6 in a row for Baylor and another turnover. Oh, nice pitch to the corner. Butler missed the three. Second chance, no, and a rebound foul under the bucket. And it looks like it's going to go against Oklahoma State. Hey, after our game, we go in the Big 12 elsewhere. It's on ESPN. It is the Red River Showdown. Texas against Oklahoma in Norman. It's a battle for 5th place in the Big 12. Boy, Austin Reeves back for Oklahoma. He had an outstanding game in Stillwater the other day, even though Oklahoma State won. But you were talking about the mid-range jump shot. I had Alabama, Oklahoma earlier this year, and Nate Oates said his team takes all those threes and doesn't like the mid-range jump shot. He said his team stopped defending against the mid-range jumper because his team thought it was a bad shot. And he said, guys, they're going to take it if we're not there. You still need to defend it. You can't pretend it doesn't exist.
It's not and has never been a bad shot. It's just if you have guys that can really shoot a three, that getting to the rim and getting to the rim for layups, dunks, and to get fouled. But it's kind of like, Jason, in baseball. You would split a guy, a singles hitter, try to hit home runs, but you would construct your roster to get more home run hitters. That's essentially what Alabama's done.
Another whistle down low. Speaking of baseball, by the way, Oklahoma State great Robin Ventura watching the telecast tonight. He and his 58-game hit streak from back in the day.
A lot of great Cowboy baseball players and golfers as well. Got a great history there in so many different sports.
I thought you were going to list off people like John Wayne who were also baseball fans when you said Cowboy baseball players.
Yes, Rogers was a huge basketball fan. Nice job by Davion Mitchell inside to guard Caleb Boone. Got switched off on him, fronted him, wouldn't let the ball go inside, and then blocked out as well.
Meyer rampaging to the rim for 2 more for an 8-point Baylor lead.
An underrated athlete. When Michael Meyer comes in, had 5 rebounds to go with 18 points, went 3 of 5 from 3. And it's sort of a wild card when he comes in because you can think that hey, he's conscience free in taking shots. And I remember Scott Drew telling me, the player, that he wasn't assertive in high school. And he certainly shed that layup in college because he comes in looking to score right away.
Cunningham, no. Second chance, yes, for Bernard Kuma, the sophomore off the bench for Oklahoma State. Meyer, by the way, has a little party in the back there on the lettuce.
Yeah, would you call that a mullet or Prince Valiant haircut?
It's an aspirational mullet, I think.
Any hair is aspirational for me.
Cunningham ahead and 2 more for Kuma down low.
Well, in the scouting report, I know every coach, when they talk about Kuma, says don't let him outwork you. He's going to screen and roll and offensive rebounds and drop-offs and running the court. Don't let him outwork you. And already, for 2 buckets, he's outworked Baylor.
Wow, Meyer just wrestled away for an open 3. He's got 7 early for Baylor.
Matthew Meyer, to show you how productive he is, per 40 minutes, averages 22 points, 10 rebounds, and 3 assists. Per 40 minutes. That's pretty darn productive.
Physical defense, Maceo Teague there against Cade Cunningham.
And Maceo Teague has length as well. His arms go forever.
There he is in the corner, and Baylor has a 10-point lead to a point in timeout.
Let's get back to the law firm, Benetti Billis.
Hey, how about that? We charge you by the hour, and we round up. Certainly good to see, by the way, that non-players are not required in the studio. My ranks are dwindling, Jay.
Yeah, well, it's nice to see Jordan Cornette, still the all-time leading shot blocker in Notre Dame basketball history. And I know that because Jordan Cornette tells me that he's the all-time leading shot blocker in Notre Dame history whenever I see him.
The level of fairness that we have as the game announcers with no reply that can come from the studio is pretty low.
Isn't it great?
Yeah.
Isn't it great? He did a nice job while he was in there.
I was going to say, Baylor has done a better job defensively. What have they done against Cade Cunningham so far in this game, Jay?
A little more pressure, and they're moving Cade Cunningham around now. Mark Vidal just on him, passed him off to Davion Mitchell. Now they're trying to keep him off the ball and draw some defensive attention. Now Matthew Meyer has switched off on him, and he's taken that on. And a really nice move to get to the middle of the floor and then spin back. And really, that's, I think, what Oklahoma State needs to start doing a little bit more of, is find the matchup that they want and attack that matchup. It sounds like one-on-one basketball, but it's just smart basketball to attack the matchup you want.
Mike Boynton wondered this morning how they would handle the switch as Meyer responds after getting beat by Cunningham. Meyer's got 9.
Talk about coming in firing. So on this possession, Mark Vidal started out on Cunningham, then Mitchell, then he was passed off to Matthew Meyer, and he just took him middle and then spun back. And once you get in the middle, you could see that, it eliminated the weak side help. And when the ball's on one side, the first way your defensive assignment is from the ball, the more you can help, and the more you can help toward the ball. And that puts a lot of bodies in between Cade Cunningham and the basket. Middle of the floor, he's got a lot more space without Baylor bots in between he and the basket.
He started this possession on the ball through the double. It's 2 for M.A. Moncrief.
But Moncrief had a nice game against Oklahoma as well at Oklahoma. He had 12 rebounds in that game, and versatile, can drive it, finish. Good there.
Oh, Meyer's feeling it again. That one too short.
Yeah, probably not the best shot selection. That's one where people say heat check, and usually when you say heat check, it's another word for a questionable shot.
Another offensive foul, and Moncrief can't believe it. He thought that was a block.
Yeah, that's the third charge in the first half that Baylor has drawn off of a secondary defender.
So Meyer takes that one. Foul on Moncrief. And turnover number 7 for Oklahoma State. They turned it over 16 times in the first meeting. They were -6 against Baylor in that big comeback win for the Bears back in January.
Well, Baylor forces about 18 turnovers a game. They have one of the best turnover percentage rates in the country. And Davion Mitchell, he is a stud. Coming into this game, Davion Mitchell is 45-5 as a starter. It's a pretty darn good record in a league as good as the Big 12.
I mean, for a Baylor team that has built so well under Scott Drew, as 2 free throws are coming, he's a top 20 3-point shooter in the country, Jay.
He's really improved his shooting. He transferred in from Auburn, where he played his freshman year for the Tigers, and he's just gotten better and better. He's taken 20 charges himself. He's the best on-ball defender, not only on this Baylor team, but I think in the Big 12, maybe in the country. And then the last 6 games, he's been magnificent. 19 points a game, just under 5 assists, and 55% from 3 for Davion Mitchell.
Hey, full Saturday of college hoops. Couple of Sonic blockbusters for you. Illinois, Ohio State, the Illini off their win against Michigan. Saturday, 4 Eastern time in Columbus. And then a game that I'm told by the promos always delivers. Duke and North Carolina, 6 Eastern, game 2. You will be there. Jay Billis, your preview for us?
Well, it's going to be all about North Carolina and their guards and their rebounding. If North Carolina's guards can play, and what a move by Butler. We are seeing a bunch of great individual moves and a fantastic, smart, aware play Looked like he was running down the court, and then Jared Butler just doubled back in order to try to steal that ball. A great screen with Amba and the snaking all the way to the basket, finishing the play. But watch the alertness here. He just sort of lying in wait, given the appearance that he's running down court, but he was looking to double back and steal that ball, and he wound up tying it up, at least getting the arrow.
Cunningham to find. Boone had it raked away, and this is going to be Oklahoma State basketball when we come back.
So what do I know about offense? We just Notre Dame's all-time leading shot blocker.
You know, also something else I want to tell you. I know you want to keep talking about that. Paul Irvin, the producer, is back some spasm from carrying these two announcers.
Let's go.
Well, the chalk outline of Jason Benetti and Jay Billis will continue to do the game here. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it. Here's a second chance for Oklahoma State in a foul. Jay, I want to ask you, with the Gillespie news, published author Joe Lunardi has Villanova as a 3 seed right now in the NCAA tournament. Are we going to have a Kenyon Martin type situation with their seed line here?
Yeah, that's a really difficult decision to make. Is do you seed Villanova based upon their body of work on the year, or do you acknowledge that they will not be the same team without their leader, Colin Gillespie? And what a heartbreaking loss, not only for Colin Gillespie out for the season with that torn MCL, but for Villanova as well. Like Villanova, look, it was heartbreaking for everybody last year, but Villanova had a legitimate chance to reach a Final Four last year. And then again, when I believe they have a legitimate chance to believe that they're a Final Four caliber team and could do something special in the NCAA tournament, to lose a leader and a Cousy Award candidate in Colin Gillespie, what a horrible break for Villanova.
Throwaway by Butler off the turnover. Oh, swatted away by Mitchell on the recovery defense.
Just a special player on both ends. What a pass. Just a special player on both ends of the floor, Jason.
Tremendous up and down left lane, foot on the gas pedal action from Waco, as here is Boone spinning into the double and a foul.
Just a fantastic foul. That's a foul. That is a foul. My goodness. Not only is that a foul, holy cow, that is an unbelievable miss. But we had a charge block situation a couple plays ago where Mark Vidal tried to take a charge and they had a no call. And you're like, wait a minute. Like, that's not a no call. If it's a 50-50 call, you got to pick one of the 50s there.
For those of you tweeting out quotes out of context for Jay Billis, the quote is, "That's a fantastic foul," that you're looking to tweet tonight.
I thought it was a great block when I saw it live.
Me too.
But that was an unbelievable miss on a foul call.
He actually never touched the basketball. He swung down with his hand, into the body. Oklahoma State 8 free throw attempts. Baylor is 5 for 13 from 3 to the tune of an 8-point lead after winning the Big 12 regular season championship on Tuesday. Oh my, a hammer from Butler.
Set play to get an isolation on the left wing, and then when the ball screen came, everybody's worried about guarding the ball screen, and Butler just refused it baseline. Help was slow getting over it. He took advantage of it with a great jam. Worried about the ball screen, got past Moncrief and all the way to the rim, got by Bryce Williams, and just a tremendous move by Jared Butler.
Baylor, if you're wondering, are the legs there after the layoff? You know, we're in a couple weeks through that now. The legs are there. You can see it tonight. There's a lot of bounce in the step of the Baylor Bears, number 3 in the country, maybe going on number 2 again, as Meyer gets the flyby and drops it in.
Well, the use of shot fakes by Baylor, Flagler's very good with it. Maceo Teague. Maceo Teague at the 3-point line, oftentimes will give a shot fake and then a sidestep to get a 3-point shot. Good double by Jared Butler, just waiting for the spin off the dribble.
They're going to get a double dribble there against Butler. Man, he is so aware defensively, and the cameraman is very aware of Jared Butler now.
Well, you know the cameraman was set. That was a charge if the whistle hadn't blown. But a great job of awareness coming over when Boone would put the ball on the deck and then spin into trouble. And Jared Butler was that trouble because he was right there and alert to the play.
Like the cameraman checking to see if Butler's okay. Like he's wearing Baylor gear. You got to make sure your guy's okay as he's going to come off.
Yeah, you can get another camera. You can't get another leading scorer.
Chant of defense at the Farrell Center. 2,000 plus in attendance. Off the spin, Williams, no dice. Meyer the rebound and always looking to push.
Tchamwa Tchatchoua bothers that shot to the point of changing it. Then he's the first one down court and dragging the defense with him. Now back to the zone. Got to penetrate this zone. You can't just throw around it.
There they do. Mid-range jumper, no for Flagler. Again, a second chance, finally cleared by Keelan Boone in Oklahoma State. Cunningham up ahead for Anderson in the corner. That would have been big for Oklahoma State in the final minute plus in the first half.
And one of the few times that Baylor didn't get back with a sense of purpose in transition.
Maybe some tired legs there defensively for Oklahoma State. Mitchell just sped by for an easy two.
Baylor has been relentless in this game. Got off to a little bit of a slow start defensively. Gave up some easy baskets when Oklahoma State was running good offense, pick and roll in the middle of the floor. But since then, it has been all Baylor Bears.
Cade Cunningham 2 for 8 in this first half as that one goes down. And it's an 11-point game as Anderson knocks down a shot for Oklahoma State.
Anderson was what you'd probably call a ball dominant guard in high school, but has really improved his game. Is just having an excellent year.
Final seconds, mishandle for Mitchell, and that will do it. But Baylor puts up 40. He typically turns it up in the second half. But I want to know from you why it matters so much that somebody would see so many different defenders.
It's just not a steady diet of one thing where you can get used to it. And Oklahoma State starting off in a 2-3 matchup zone and trying to stick with cutters, may go to man out of it at some point, but sticking with it.
The travel against Maceo Teague in the 8th turnover for a Baylor team that usually only turns it over 12 times per.
Yeah, your point about switching it up on Cade Cunningham. You know, a lot of coaches say, hey, we're not going to give him a steady diet of any one thing. We're not going to guard ball screens the same way. We're going to switch every time. We're going to do things differently. We may trap at times. It's so the player doesn't establish a rhythm of seeing the same thing over and over. And basketball is a game of rhythm. Establish yours, disrupt theirs. And so far in the game, Baylor's been able to establish their rhythm on both ends of the floor and totally disrupt Oklahoma State's.
Oh, that's a tough lob from Butler that rang off the backboard. And here is Cunningham in transition on a catch-and-shoot three.
Well, in transition, tougher to get Cade Cunningham picked up, and you don't have the defense set. He's able to take advantage of it. You see the ball go through the net for a great scorer, and that can be a big lift. And against this zone, one of the things that I think Baylor can do is screen the zone. If they screen it, then penetrate, make 2-play-1, they're going to get some good things.
Here is Anderson, who is felled in a collision and a travel called. So a turnover, Oklahoma State on the Anderson travel.
Anderson went into the defender and established that contact. I think that's why the walk was called rather than a foul, because he initiated that contact when he didn't have a defender in front of him. He essentially had to go out of his way to establish the contact.
Avery Anderson from Denton County in Texas with 9 points, a team high in the first half, and a foul up high against Anderson, his second.
Anderson had a really good game against Oklahoma. He had 15 points, 6 rebounds, a couple of steals. He's really improved his shooting from last year to this year.
3 straight double-figure games going on 4 for Avery Anderson as they collapse on the possible drive from Teague. Cunningham, great defense against Butler, and that is going to be a shot clock violation.
And there you can see the defensive ability, Jason, of Cade Cunningham. He's got about a 7-foot wingspan. He's not a ridiculous world-class athlete. He's very athletic. But he did a really good job of keeping Jared Butler in front of him, forcing a very difficult shot at the end of the clock.
Cunningham fouled here. There was a story on ESPN.com today about who Cade Cunningham reminds a number of our writers of. When you watch him, what would you add to the list that we're seeing here of Cade Cunningham comparisons?
He reminds me, because of his skill set, not necessarily his body, of better shooting Ben Simmons, because he does so many things. He's trying to post up Mark Vidal there, and Vidal just pushes him totally off the lane. Look how far out he's got to catch that. Against smaller defenders, he's able to post up easily, but look how he gets to the rim. You know, even off the lane, he's able to face up and go right around an excellent defender in Mark Vidal.
And made it look easy while he was doing it as Vidal clears that. And an extra pass gets a drive for Baylor, and a foul called as Teague was attacking the rim.
It's that ball movement where the ball goes from side to side, and then because the defense had to move, had to recover, then Macio Teague attacks the closeout. You know, you attack off the first pass, you're attacking a set defense. Now all of a sudden, Rondell Walker's got to close out to Macio Teague. He just blew right by him and got all the way into the paint.
You could take your pick on the foul. They got Anderson. That's his 3rd personal. And here is Macio Teague, a very good free throw shooter. But Baylor is 336th in the country in points off of free throws. They do not find their way to the free throw line a whole lot.
A little surprising because it's an athletic team. They've got a lot of good drivers, but because they shoot it so well, their drives are often to kick it for open threes. And they don't really have a low post threat that they can throw it into that is going to, score, get fouled, or both down in the low post. You know, their big guys are more screen roll guys, activity players, and they're really good. Flo Thamba and Jonathan Tchamwa-Tchatchoua are very, very good. But this is a perimeter-oriented scoring team.
That's a good call. It's a double dribble. Anderson lost the ball, picked it up, and he had a teammate who had a chance to pick it up anyway. Anderson went and did it himself, and Mike Boynton lost his towel and his temper at the same time.
Yeah, I think he's saying it went off of somebody else. It was knocked away and went off Jonathan Tchamwa-Tchatchoua. That's why the ball went out toward midcourt. But the officials disagreed.
Mike Boynton has a tremendous recruiting class, not only this year, but also coming in. Beautiful pass down low.
Yeah, to your point, Mike Boynton has done a really good job recruiting. This class is excellent, not just because of Cade Cunningham, but Boynton is a really good basketball coach, and he's got a demeanor that is so good with the players. He's so smart, and I think he takes not only the current view of wanting to be competitive today, but also the long view of what it takes to be competitive in the long term. I'm just so impressed with Mike Boynton as a person and as a coach.
His player wearing 0, Avery Anderson, just picked up his 4th personal foul. And Mike Boynton said something today that I had not heard from a coach this year in COVID-19. He said one of the toughest parts of coaching this season is the bench structure, that sometimes because of the staggered benches, he'll turn to his bench and not be able to find a player that he wants to send into the game. So he said, when I take Cade Cunningham out for, a minute or 2, whatever it is, I call timeout to get him back in because I don't know where he is all the time.
Yeah, oftentimes I think they can fix that by just assigning an assistant coach to Cade Cunningham wherever he goes to make sure they can get him back in exactly when they want. But when I came out of the game as a player, I would have loved to have this kind of bench distance to stay away from the head coach, who usually wanted to yell at me for everything I did.
That's another great pass. Mitchell to find down low for another 2 inside. Macio Teague has 4 quickly for Baylor here in the second half.
Baylor not only moves the ball, they move themselves, and it's a really good cutting team. And they not only cut, they cut intelligently.
What do you see in the whole situation here for Oklahoma State?
Well, there's a clear case of the NCAA Committee on Infractions over punishing Oklahoma State because of the actions of one person. And South Carolina had the same issue with the same coach, and they got 2 years of probation. So I believe that Oklahoma State has a very good case in their appeal. If the appeal isn't decided by essentially the start of the Big 12 tournament, you're going to see Oklahoma State not only play in the Big 12 tournament, they'll play in the NCAA tournament, and the appeal will be heard later. But I think given that Georgia Tech was just successful on its appeal, and South Carolina was punished for the exact same thing, that Oklahoma State has a good case. And I happen to agree. I didn't earlier. I thought that the appeal would be difficult to win, and therefore it was kind of a decision by Oklahoma State to sacrifice maybe next year's tournament for this year's tournament. But I think they're doing the right thing. Play this year because you believe you're going to win your appeal. And I happen to believe that they are going to win the appeal. They may not, but I think they are.
You believe that now simply based on the decisions that you outlined before, Georgia Tech and South Carolina?
Yes, I think based on the punishment of South Carolina, which 2 years probation, and that's the end of it. That just shows that Oklahoma State was mistreated. And some would say, draconian penalties. I don't think it's draconian. It's more Byzantine, but just equally wrong.
Yeah. Hammurabi's code applies here. Is that what you say?
Yes, and then you're stuck between Scylla and Charybdis, and things get out of hand.
You want to at least lean one way or the other towards Scylla or Charybdis, not be directly in between as we get a offensive foul against Baylor. But a credit to Cade Cunningham. I mean, not knowing if you could play in the postseason and still showing up to Oklahoma State for the one season. Mike Boynton told us on Cunningham, who's heated up a little bit in the second half, that he came to him early, Cunningham did, and said, if you're not going to coach me, this is not going to go well. He is a very coachable young man.
And a competitive one. And really, it's not just Cade Cunningham that decided to come to Oklahoma State despite the sanctions. What a great shot by Boone. That was a falling down to be able to complete that. And Oklahoma State has clawed its way to a 2-possession game in this one. And the zone has been helpful.
Meyer down low on a great thread through from Mitchell.
Get the ball into the middle, then look immediately to the short corner behind the zone.
Here is Cunningham, prospective top prospect in next year's NBA draft. A lot of dribbling, step back over Chamwa Chachua. Great defense from the big guy out there against Cunningham.
Yeah, switched off. First it was Davion Mitchell, then Chamwa Chachua switched off, and his ability to stay in front.
And a block on Cunningham.
No question that was a block, but we had one earlier in the game just like it called a charge, so you never know, but it's nice to know the officials are capable of calling a block.
Zing.
Zing. But that's something, it's not all on the officials. That's something the rules committee has to clean up. We've got to change the way we call that.
Butler for 3 in the corner, off 10 in the first half, and a third 3 for a 44% shooter from the outside, Jared Butler. How would you clean up the rule, Jay?
I would make it more difficult. I would move it to the gather, that you have to be established on the gather rather than from the time you leave the floor, and make the presumption that unless it is beyond a reasonable doubt that it's a charge, that it is a block, and just change the way that's called. Because right now they're handed out like Halloween candy on October 31st, and it's I don't think it's good for the game, frankly.
Cunningham buries a 3 and makes it a 10-point game.
I'm telling the official he got grabbed, but he just so smooth. And he can really take off at any time and get hot. And looks like a different player from an aggressiveness and assertiveness standpoint to score. He was aggressive and assertive playing, but now he's more aggressive to score in this second half.
A casual late shot clock turns into a stuff try, rejected by the rim, and Chachua.
Well, he missed that one, but the execution at the end of a clock, there is no panic in this team. But it looked like he got hit up top. Moncrief took a swipe at him, and I don't know whether he got his arm. Scott Drew doesn't look like he's upset at the miss. He looks like he's more upset at a missed call.
Rarely do you see the Valparaiso Nice go away with Scott Drew on the sideline.
I don't think the Valparaiso Nice ever goes away. The Drew family Nice gene is hard to shake. So Cade Cunningham gets a quick trap after the fourth dribble, and trying to throw opposite just throws it out of bounds. And that's another one of the things we've been talking about, Jason, just a different look. You know, back to the basket. Jonathan Chachua comes out, puts a bigger body on him, makes him give the ball up.
Backdoor, Meyer stuffs it home. That was a full half-court lob.
Just an overload on the left side. Jonathan Chachua comes up into the middle. That draws up the middleman, and then the backside defenders 2-on-1, and an easy lob for Matthew Meyer.
Cade Cunningham used the muscle there, by the way. He's got 10 in the second half for Oklahoma State, trailing by 10, looking for yet another quad one win. They have 8 of them already this year in a very tough schedule. A tough pass from Meyer. One of the ways to a showman in the middle of a college basketball game. Why do you have to do that?
Because I've trademarked it always delivers. Not allowed. He's going to hear from my lawyers.
Is that you? You're just going to call him?
No, I don't. Only a fool represents himself.
Cade Cunningham off the turnaround, splashes it down for 2 more. That's 12 in the second half for Cade Cunningham, the dynamic Oklahoma State freshman.
Everything is so easy, or looks easy. It's not easy, but he makes it look easy. And right now, Cade Cunningham playing in the middle of the zone, and you can expect that Baylor is going to try to attack, and definitely attack the offensive glass, because the Cowboys have become much smaller because of the substitutions they've made.
Meyer to the free throw line. He's going to get 3 shots on a tough foul against Keelan Boone. First one is good. Saturday night, stacked card, UFC 259. 3 titles on the line. Prelims, 8 Eastern on ESPN, ESPN Plus, and ESPN Deportes. Then the main card, 10 Eastern on pay-per-view. English or Spanish. Sign up today, ESPN.com/PPV. Cade Cunningham, we know he's competitive. You've talked about him. Mike Boynton mentioned to us about Cade's brother, Cannon, who is an assistant coach for Oklahoma State. Cannon, former SMU player, very good under Larry Brown. They still have this sibling rivalry that's going on, to the point that in preseason games when they were scrimmaging, sometimes Cannon Cunningham would coach one of the teams. And Cade said to Mike Boynton, I don't want to be on Cannon's team because I want to beat Cannon's team.
That's good brother on brother stuff. I like that.
That's the same move that he turned into a pass. And then up top, no good for Williams.
Yeah, with Cunningham's length and his passing ability, you know, he's able to see over so many defenders, and he's had a few turnovers in this game. I think he's turned over 4 times, but it's really hard to speed him up. He doesn't allow many defenses to speed him up.
Meyer in the corner, against Cunningham. Beat him to the rim and denied over there.
Yeah, just didn't finish it. Cunningham didn't have an angle. He came out to guard Meyer in the corner and just allowed him the baseline.
Meyer had to save it as he got into his own teammate Mitchell. Off the pitch ahead, and a pull-up three is cash for a 13-point lead for MaCio Teague.
MaCio Teague is having another outstanding basketball game, and give credit there to Davion Mitchell. After the save, he passes the ball ahead. That was the right play to play ahead of the Oklahoma State defense and get a wide open three as a result.
Flagler climbs for the steal. MaCio Teague led all of Ohio in Division I there in scoring as a high school senior. He's a big-time scorer that sometimes gets forgotten about a little bit when Butler's rolling.
It's hard to believe. I mean, he started out at UNC Asheville. He was 2 times All Big South, and Adam Flagler was a Presbyterian playing for the Blue Hose. There have been some transfers to Baylor from what some might consider quote-unquote lower-level teams, and they've come in and played big roles on arguably the best team in the country, at least along with Gonzaga.
Have you been to the Templeton PE Center in Clinton, South Carolina, where Presbyterian plays? You've done one of their games?
I have not, but I have been to UNC Asheville up in the beautiful mountains of North Carolina, but I have not been to Presbyterian.
You know, that's where they had the Maui Gym Maui Invitational this year.
In Asheville.
It became the Camping World Maui Invitational. Thank you for my life.
I was just impressed with the amount of homework that Bill Walton did on the history of Asheville, North Carolina.
Bruce Hornsby will join us in overtime tonight. Baylor by 13 with 9 and change to go here in the second half.
Now Meyer switched out on Cunningham. Cunningham should take him.
Or just send him away.
And that's no disrespect to Matthew Meyer. That's just a difficult matchup. And Cunningham needs to get the matchup he wants and then go after it. But you're looking at a player here that is so difficult to contain because of all the different things he can do. And if you switch off on him, he's going to find, and the second half has found some more favorable matchups, and I think has been much more difficult to speed up. He hasn't done anything out of control or out of rhythm, where the first half, I think he was a little bit sped up at times.
Cunningham the rebound off the Mitchell miss. Oklahoma State see if they've got one more run in him. Boone had some foul trouble with 2 in the first half. Brothers got the rebound there, and a setup for 3 for Farron Flavors Jr. in an 8-point game.
Well, that was a huge bucket, and Jonathan Tchamwa had done a nice job on Caleb Boone, pushing him out a little bit further for that jump hook. But boy, you get a step-in 3 now and a stop, and all of a sudden you score here. There's some game pressure on Baylor. Great pass.
Flavors again, no good. And now the other way. That would have been huge for Oklahoma State. Mitchell got a 3. Oh, that was a tough sequence for the Cowboys.
Kansas has played all their Big 12 games. They're 12-6 in league play. They want to get one in. They're down 12 against UTEP right now. Back to Jay and Jason.
The Miners. By the way, how did Michigan State not get that rebound? There were 3 people at the end line, and they somehow didn't rebound. Tom Izzo's got to be livid right now.
Yeah, not going to be happy about that one play. Looked like there was a goaltend there by Jonathan Tchamwa. Or at least they're calling it a goaltend.
He's taking it in stride.
He's so active. I don't know. I guess it must have been on the rim when he got a finger on it. But I'm so impressed with Caleb Boone, his ability to score with his offhand around the basket. He's right-handed, but he scores so easily with his left hand around the rim.
Top 100 recruit coming in as a sophomore out of Tulsa now as Cunningham gets bumped off the spot by Flagler. And that'll be foul number 3 against Flagler.
Baylor has a unique ability to answer. That when the Bears are challenged, and Oklahoma State had a fantastic opportunity to really put some pressure on Baylor with that corner three they had a couple plays ago. Miss it. Baylor goes down, hits a three in the corner, 6-point swing to move this lead back out. That answering ability is really impressive.
Cunningham sized that up the whole way and splashed it down.
Well, you talk about impressive. Last 4 games, he's averaging over 24 points, 7 rebounds, and a couple of steals. Just a spectacular talent.
Baylor on its heels a little bit. Oklahoma State with some defensive energy and a turnover thrown away by Baylor. It's a 6-point game, and we remind you that coming up after this one over on ESPN, it is the Red River Showdown, 9 Eastern time. Texas on the road in Norman to take on Oklahoma. Lon Kruger's team very talented. Brady Manick playing some better basketball against Oklahoma State last couple of days, and we'll see about that one. But the Cowboys are back in it, down only 6.
We've talked about Baylor's ability to answer. Can they answer here?
Second chance, tipped up and in. Boone was engaged there. Let's see who got the tip off the miss from Cunningham. It's a 4-point game.
Oklahoma State, for a young team especially, the fight in this team is really impressive. This basketball team is not going to be any fun to play against in the NCAA tournament. You have a star in Cade Cunningham, and then you've got a bunch of players that have a ton of bounce and ability and that are willing to fight you at every step.
You mentioned earlier they're playing without Isaac Likely, who's a great rebounding guard. He plays nearly 35 minutes a game. He had a foot injury earlier. He's got a hand injury now, and Likely out for this game.
Yeah, Isaac Likely has always reminded me of Bruce Dalrymple. Used to play at Georgia Tech with his the way he plays and the way he rebounds as a guard.
There it is. No good. Cunningham the rebound. Oklahoma State within 4, and Cade Cunningham on the gas pedal.
Got the switch now. Chamwa Chachua guarding Cunningham.
And he just lost the dribble. Teague stepped through, got it for 2. Swashbuckling through the lane.
Little Euro step to get to the rim, and Cade Cunningham, when he got the switch and got Chamwa Chachua on him, just got casual with the ball. It was nothing that Chamwa Chachua did other than his presence. And all of a sudden, we got 2 turnovers and Baylor taking it the other way.
In the corner, Jared Butler.
You talk about answering back. Oklahoma State put some game pressure on Baylor, and Baylor answers back and moves it out. That's what championship teams do.
Say Justin Hoff is okay, their cameraman as well. I know you stand up for the managers. I stand up for all the camera people. Good.
As well you should. Because that way every once in a while they can put us on camera instead of being on ESPN radio.
Why are we doing radio today? There's a 2 for Boone, and it's a 7-point game.
Oklahoma State sticking with this zone look. The wings are up, so you can attack along the baseline and in the corners.
Teague flaring into the corner, now a step toward the goal as Butler drove. This is Teague against Cunningham. Maceo Teague, that's really tough. He stepped into bracket coverage, now fades away and misses. And they're going to get a second chance. Teague off the scramble. Into the corner for Butler. On the pitch, and now they'll send it around with over 10 to shoot. Butler heard somebody yell, block that, and it's going to be an offensive foul. Oklahoma State hanging around, down 7 under 4 to go. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by Phillips 66, proud sponsor of Big 12 basketball.
We'll make this simple. It's the
folks who run the scorebook to put that on the screen to back you up.
No, I keep all my good stats to myself. I don't share them with anyone.
Heard that from coworkers. 7-point game. Blavers playing some significant late minutes as Cunningham dribbles into a three.
What a big time shot. Tchamwa Tchatchoua had switched off on him, and just a little bit of a fake that moved him back just a bit and created that space. And Cade Cunningham in the second half has been spectacular. 17 second half points, 21 overall.
Tell you what, basketball looks like such a low-stress enterprise for him, even in big spots, as Cunningham makes it a 4-point score. Butler, that was nifty.
What a great move by Jared Butler. We are seeing two players that are making the difficult look extraordinarily easy. Jared Butler and Cade Cunningham. The plays they are making are not easy. They just look it.
Oh, right down the boulevard. Boone drops it in and stuffs it home.
That's one of the reasons you can't take your eyes off Caleb Boone. His activity level, his athleticism, and shots like that are why he's shooting 72% from the field in his last 11 games.
And a foul called way up high.
Just a flat, high ball screen, and a terrific pass by Bryce Williams, 6'2", the senior, who is a quick jumper himself. But just a terrific play by Caleb Boone. I just love watching him play. He's improved a great deal, but he's got even more improvement ahead of him.
Butler got the first.
Are you serious, America? Oh, you can't teach that.
Illinois was awesome the other night against Michigan. That's the first time Michigan's looked like that all year, as Baylor takes a 6-point lead with 2 minutes to go in Waco tonight.
This is a really big possession. And let's see if they can get the switch they want. Now it's Mark Vidal switched out on Cade Cunningham. Got a lot of space.
Entry pass deflected and taken away by Meyer. The hand on it for Davion Mitchell.
Tough pass along the baseline, and Mitchell, they talk about a great defender that makes a key play with the game on the line. Davion Mitchell making a case for National Defensive Player of the Year against his teammate Mark Vidal.
Late shot clock. Mitchell got clubbed. There's another shot fake, Jay, that pays off.
And he had Flavors on skates the whole time. Now here's the pass along the baseline, almost like an old Tom Davis pass, but didn't get low enough along the baseline to be able to complete it for an easy score. But for Davion Mitchell to be able to guard a bigger guy in the post and then get a hand on that ball, knock it away, and it turns into a turnover. I mean, the ways in which he can affect the game defensively are so varied. He's a great on-ball defender, puts great pressure on. He can switch off on a big guy and guard in the post, just like he did there. He rebounds the ball. Weak side, he comes over, he takes a ton of charges. I mean, Davion Mitchell's taken 20 charges on the season. And he's done it as a primary defender, sometimes a secondary defender.
What does Cade Cunningham have as a final act today? It's an 8-point game. Bryce Williams with the ball now. And a beautiful find and a rim run there for an easy stuff for Boone.
Well, Boone did a great job of cutting to the basket instead of just standing.
He just barely got that across midcourt. Tic-tac-toe from Meyer, and he's going to the free throw line with a 6-point lead.
Well, that's the way you attack pressure. You attack pressure at the point it's applied and break that pressure to score. And Mark Vital could have easily just caught that ball and gone up himself, but got into the cutter, Matthew Meyer, who also happens to be the far better free throw shooter.
Baylor, the Big 12 champions, first conference title since 1950 when Bill Henderson was the head coach, who was renowned not only for his success at Baylor but for nervously tying his shoes when there were close ball games. This one, an 8-point score. You see 49, 50, 48 as well as Cunningham falls. And we have a whistle. Thought Cunningham had the ball on the ground, but even so, even if he has possession, you got to let that play out.
Yeah, unless they thought he had possession and he was calling timeout. I didn't hear anybody call that.
Foul against Baylor on the wing. Vital, as there you see Cunningham. They're testing out the ankle. I mean, that's the last thing for Oklahoma State and for college basketball anybody wants to see is Cade Cunningham out for any period of time.
Yeah, those sort of twisted ankle issues, they can be bad. They can be less than that. The first thing it does is scare you.
Free throw good for Flavors. Just the second free throw attempt for Oklahoma State all game. It scares you. Why? Because of the sensation? Because what you think you did? What?
It's such an unusual feeling, and you know this could be, you know, when you get in that situation, you go, this could be really bad. It's kind of like I don't know if you've ever surfed or body surfed, but when you get caught underwater, you know, your first thought is always the worst, and then you wind up getting out of it. It's not so bad, but you know, guys twist ankles, and sometimes some are worse than others. Some of those candidates are teammates of Jared Butler, but you know, it's hard to imagine that anybody makes a better case than Jared Butler does for Big 12 Player of the Year.
Even Cade Cunningham?
Cade Cunningham's been great, especially from a scoring perspective, I should say. But I'm not sure that anybody on both ends of the floor has been as good as Butler. Like, Butler is a great two-way player. I think he is equally as good a defender as he is an offensive player. And as an offensive player, he's been spectacular. I mean, he's shooting 44% from three. He's made now, in this game combined to coming in, 58 threes on the year. So he's leading the Big 12 in three-point field goals made and three-point field goal percentage. He leads it in steals. He's the top scorer for the best team in the league and the Big 12 champs. Do you feel differently about sort of Player of the Year, that you start off with the best player and the best team, and then if you can make a case beyond that, you do? But I always wind up going, hey, the best team, you look there first.
Well, yeah, I agree with you. You have to start there. I just think sometimes when people don't go deep on their ballot, it's because they just look for the best player on the best team. So it's usually the right answer. That is a wild pass that's going to get a poster for Vital. A 360 lay-in for Mark Vital.
I think there may be some ribbing of Mark Vital on that one. But at least he made it. At least he made it.
Late three. Somebody just said, I need this rebound, as Baylor does get it by 11 over Oklahoma State.